Alright, well, this is journal, I think 4 or 5, not really sure. But this is going to be the last week on my second rotation. So it will be my last week with women's soccer. This week I got into swim as well with my preceptor because she rotates with another certified athletic trainer here, and so I got to do a lot of shoulder things. I also got to do my first eval by myself this week, which was really exciting. Even if it was on the shoulder, which I don't know yet, I got help with that part with the palpating and looking for deformities, but I went through the history and all of that with the patient, and I got to help with visible deformities, visible differences between the two shoulders comparing bilaterally. So that was really exciting because I knew what was going on and I could help. So that was some fun things. I helped with a concussion diagnosis because it is said that if you go above 2 points, then your baseline, then that's not passing. So we were contemplating that because the patient's baseline was difficult to compare to the suspected concussion SCAT and BEST testing, because when the athlete came in and did the baseline, she was sick with an illness, so her symptom score was pretty high, and she was pretty not involved in the testing really because she didn't feel good. So her score was pretty, her severity, symptom score was high, and for the words and the numbers and the months, that was pretty low altogether. And then her BEST balance testing went up, so we confirmed that with the symptoms between the day of and the day after, symptoms being worse, that they did have a concussion. But the concussion happened during my practice specifically, so that was really interesting to watch, for me to be able to guess if it was or wasn't, if it wasn't just like an inner ear, like an eardrum thing, because it was shoulder to head. But it ended up being shoulder to temple, really, well, more in this area. So, the athlete complained of ringing in her ears and a lot of pressure the day of the injury and the day after, so symptoms got worse. So that was fun to get to be involved with, but I'm going to talk about why I'm most excited about the AT program. I'm the most excited about building relationships with the athletes and gaining their trust, because once I have their trust, then they are comfortable with me trying or recommending new things for their treatments, rehabs, and stuff like that. But as I progress in the program, I'll be learning new skills that I'll even be able to master on these athletes that I have their trust, which is really important because I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable if I'm physically not fully confident in what I'm doing. I'm just trying something I learned in class or something that another preceptor did that I thought that would be cool to do. But I'll potentially be mastering and on these athletes that I have their trust, either in the clinic when I'm doing clinic coverage, or out on the field or practice during one of my rotations. Learning and mastering and understanding, I think, are the most important parts in gaining the athlete's trust and actually, making them feel better and getting them back to return to play status. I think personally that I would be a good athletic trainer because I'm an athlete and I know the stresses of sports and how much your team relies on you and how your coach gets frustrated when you mess up just one little thing, and getting hurt really isn't one of the things that teams or coaches really like to hear, that one of their key athletes are hurt and they can't play and they're out for a couple games or a week of practice plus a game. Because I know firsthand that wanting to play when you can't is really frustrating. I also think that being an athlete myself could help me with knowing like mechanism of injury and how the sport is played would affect a specific area. So for soccer, cutting and turning, people can catch you off guard, and jumping and landing wrong, that can catch you off guard, and just knowing, I guess, what is involved in a specific sport would really help me be a good athletic trainer. But I'm very interested I have been, but very, very interested in becoming a certified athletic trainer after this. While some of my class wants to go to DPT school, which is fine, I'm going to support them. They're like my little family. But I personally like having the relationship before the injury, knowing that athletes normal, knowing them when they're not hurt is a big deal, because if you see an injury coming with form or anything like that, you can prevent it. While, going to physical therapy school and doing that, you meet the athlete after they're hurt. You don't gain the relationship until after the injury has been done. And I would like to be a part in preventing that, not trying to take money away from or credit away from physical therapy, but I definitely think being a any certified athletic trainer, their outlook is to prevent injury. And if one small injury comes along, you rehab and strengthen so something worse doesn't happen, so the secondary injury doesn't come along. But I got 0 masteries this week, which is kind of upsetting, and I'm really mad at myself about that. But I did get 24 attempts, which is good. But I'm excited to do this last week with women's soccer and then rotate to another sport, because that's going to help me towards my goals, taping ankles and, getting into modalities a little more. But, yep, that's this week. A lot happened. But I got a lot of hours done too. But it's been a crazy week.